reviews. First, the headlines. Presidential election appeal. Atiku criticizes Supreme Court judgment as APC carpets former vice president. Appeal court reverses Silva's nullification to participate in Bayelsa gubernatorial election. Appeal court affirms Natasha Akpoti as winner of Kogi Central senatorial election. National Police Council confirms Kayode Egbetokun as IGP. France to return $150 million Abacha loot to presidency. Controversy over presidency expenses as National Assembly passes 2.1 trillion naira supplementary budget. Rivers State boils as BK Fubara feud disrupts House of Assembly activities. Factional speaker emerges as President Tinubu waits in. Senate confirms Zach Adedeji as FRSC chairman. Supplementary budget passes second reading. EFCC chairman bans overnight raids by operatives following arrest of OAU students. ICPC files charges against suspended Unicol professor Idifon. Lagos signs $1.35 billion fourth mainland bridge. Blue Rail partnership agreement with AFEXIM, Access Bank, as Ogun launches CNG mass transit buses. Mobad. Naira Marley and Sam Larry sue magistrate and police over their continued detention, demand 40 million naira. Naira strengthens to $950, 950 naira to the dollar in parallel markets. Labour declares a nationwide strike November 8th over assault on NLC President Ajero. Hundreds killed in Israeli ground invasion of Gaza Strip as offensive continues. No temporary ceasefire without release of hostages. You're welcome to this beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's the 20th of Rabiul Thani, the 1445 after Hijra, coinciding with the 4th of November 2023. Dr. Olubunmi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Aja. It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon, our listeners. I hope everyone is, trying to cope with this economy.
Well, no comments. Let's get started with our forefather that refused to die, Abacha.
Okay. Abacha in Yoruba terms, people would describe him as Abiyama Gbojagboro. That is always there, financing education. Nigeria. Even in his death,
Because
almost every administration Abacha has funded ever since he left. So,
Indeed.
many thanks. Probably, sincerely, it sounds, sarcastic. But then, should we not continue to thank Abacha?
For continually bailing us out.
The reality is, what if Abacha had not probably kept those monies abroad? What do you think would have happened to the money?
It would have been siphoned anyways. I mean,
We
we
won't
still have
get to
Dezani. They will, yes,
know,
it would have been
The
stolen
reality is,
anyway.
Abacha did not rule alone. Abacha had people, had his henchmen, had many ministers, had many public officers that worked with him, and they all stole. Except we want to deceive ourselves. Some people still have established, an aviation, an airline, industry. Some went and because they had, crude oil, mining licenses and things like that, oil fields. Until today, they are so rich that they are saying that, in fact, they don't even know how much the money they have again. And, they continue to do this. But no one is able to prosecute them because they are just actually funding all the political parties that we have in Nigeria. So at the end of the day, what do you think? But Abacha, despite, the fact that this man has died since 1998, 25 years ago, he still continues to fund every successive administration, after his demise. At least the person that, came in after his death, Abdulsalam Abubakar, we only know that he actually probably is in, he has so many, chains of companies, many things like that, including even in the power sector. And nobody has actually, collected a dime from him for saying probably you also got this. But the reality is, everyone forgave his sin because he decided to hand over to, civilian administration. So it's all about that. But one way or the other, probably we should also thank some of these people, because if they decide not to return this money, there is nothing we'll do to them.
Well, we don't know if there was an agreement that was signed and it says, this particular fund will mature at also dates.
See, that was nothing like that. See, that was nothing like that. Let me tell you.
So
it
it's just out of the magnanimity.
So to say, yes, now that
funds.
we know this amount of money was looted by your former head of state. See, they are as culpable as the person that actually took the money. The reality, my people in Yoruba would say that the person that stole is not actually the thief. It's the person that collected, the looted funds, and probably for safekeeping or whatsoever, for whatever purposes the person, chose to, do that. If you had probably, you can imagine into their economy. Imagine if probably all these, funds had been in our economy. Another question would be that for all the billions that have now been, returned, what have we achieved with them? So the reality is, I don't even know whether to be happy or to be sad that these monies are coming back. Because in reality, we've really not seen anything worthwhile.
The general public has not felt the impact of the returned funds.
So what has happened? It's a case of relooting the returned loots. That's what we have done. It's unfortunate.
In the past, let's assume that's in the past.
See, government is a continuum.
No. We the citizens are now more enlightened, and I think we are, like you always say, we are the opposition because we don't have a legit opposition. They're still so
seriously. Yes, no.
They're still so busy.
The same opposition was thanking the president for what happened. Now, as far as the fact they are concerned, at least all the PDP governors have actually gone to the tribunal. They have all won at the tribunal, so they were thanking the president. So thank you. That's more like throwing an article under the bus.
So basically, we do not have. So because we are the opposition, I think we will be more critical of how this $150 is spent once it lands in our treasury.
Once it lands, it's a function of how well the government is able to tell us what they want to do with the money. And that's why that also speaks to the fact that sometimes when some of these funds, are returned, when they now place probably some conditions on them that this is what you have to spend those funds on. Sometimes we'll be questioning them like that. How dare you tell us how we should spend our money? But the reality is, there were agreements signed for these funds probably were returned. And at the end of the day, even with all these conditions, what have we done? Because a lot of times, look at, and the past administration said part of those, the return list was actually specifically the agreement was that it will be used for the social investment program. Now, how many people have been taken out of poverty with the so-called social investment program? What did we achieve with it? So that's why for me, like you said, probably as citizens, we need to probably put our searchlight on whatsoever the government is able to do with it as soon as the money probably lands on our shores.
Right. Let's look at Egbetokun, the new IGP.
It's not new.
As he's been confirmed as
he has been acting IGP since Tinubu came in.
It's new.
No. The confirmed IGP. Yes. So let's put it that way.
Okay.
Because he has been in charge. He has actually removed some people. Some people have retired. Some of the DIGs that came in together with him. He was a former DIG. So all the DIGs that served with him have actually been retrenched.
Yeah.
So we cannot say it's just new. So that's what I'm trying to say in that light.
Okay, but so what's his antecedent? What can we? What do we look forward to in his dispensation as the IGP, confirmed IGP? Because when was acting, it could have swung either way. He could have been relieved of the position, but now he's been confirmed, so he is the IGP.
See, the confirmation was it on the basis of performance? That's the question we should ask ourselves.
Okay.
So how well has probably Nigeria become? Has Nigeria become safer? Ever since he, got into the saddle, ever since he got on the saddle, would we say Nigeria has become safer? That I really can't say. But then, it's all about interest. The interest of the person that actually puts him there. It's what is paramount. And that is what determines whether or not he will be confirmed or not. So, as far as we are concerned, I know he's actually the choice of the president. And probably in the president's, reckoning, probably he has at least delivered within the short time that, he has that he served in acting capacity. So if for that reason the National Council, the National Police Council was called and they confirmed his appointments, well, so be it. I think it's only a function of the fact that let Nigerians really come out to say that these are the areas we actually want the IGP to focus on. Now, this time around, for instance, if I were to set agenda for him, one of the things I would say, probably because that's where my interest lies, first is the fact that we need to actually make our schools safer. Okay. Especially tertiary institutions, because this idea of kidnapping of students in their schools, in their hostels, and things like that has been rampant. Now, it happened, in FU Gusau, in Zamfara State. It happened. Students were kidnapped in their hostels. Even Ogun State here, students were raped in the hostels, although it's actually off-campus hostels. Students were raped in Ogun State. So these are issues that we really need to really look at. The function
and
of
one
the
of
police.
the raped students eventually committed suicide.
Oh, probably. You can imagine. I actually
Yes.
did not, get that information. But it's so pathetic for you to know how bad the situation is. Now, also talk about the fact that there are so many internal security issues that this country is facing. Ordinarily, before now, we've been using our armed forces for internal security issues, and it actually speaks to the incapacity of the police to actually tackle some of these issues. We have actually overstretched our military beyond necessary, because we're talking about the military that is actually undertaking security operations in nothing less than 30 states out of the 36 states of Nigeria. Almost every state in Nigeria has one security operation. Even in down our place here, we talk about different with different names they call it. OP-MESA. Yeah, I think that's the operation. OP-MESA. Now you see them, you see some police officers, you see the Nigerian army and things like that all working together. Now the reality is that's not the direct function of the military. So it's only because we don't have the capacity. The internal security force, which is the Nigerian police, does not have the capacity to tackle some of these issues. That's why we are using military for it. Now let me tell you, even in the same vein, you talk about the fact that for oil thieves, we're using our soldiers. We're using Nigerian soldiers for it, or we are even contracting security operations to non-state forces, non-state actors, militants, so to say reformed militants, militia groups, civilian JTF, and so many other nomenclatures of vigilantes, just because Nigerian police has not shown capacity. And I think at this juncture, probably IG Egbetokun would also probably advise the president to pursue this idea of state police. Let us decentralize police operations. Because it's not easy, let me tell you. It's probably unrealistic for you to expect someone probably in the village of Kebbi State, probably in Alero village, to actually be the one that will be sent to actually serve as DPO in probably Koshofe police station, Koshofe police division, because he was just brought there to come and become a DPO there. How do you think we would have an idea of the security, risks around Koshofe, because it was just brought in? So these are some of the issues that we are facing, that we need people that, have an understanding of the, local community, so that they can actually serve, work hand in hand in enhancing security and and talk about security. Intelligence is very, very key. Then again, I think that for some of these other ones that you now have probably some other operations like the Amotekun, the Lagos, neighborhood watch, Google defense, civil defense. I'm sorry. I withdraw that. Some of these things, you see, they are supposed to actually complement the effort of the police. But to what extent have we done this interagency collaboration? To what extent has it actually worked for us? See, as I was going to school this morning, because I didn't drive, I was, in a commercial motorcycle, and the guy was saying, I know something happened in my community, and the police could not respond, despite the fact that the police station was just some few meters away.
Okay.
All through the night, they had the operations. They killed people in that operation. And then in the morning, the police now came, we just sent them away. The woman said, "Please, my husband is dead, my child is dead, so there is no need for you to come. Please just get out. I have accepted my fate." Wow. Now, that is the kind of experience people have when it comes to Nigerian police. You talk about the fact that people are afraid to even give security report to the police, because I don't know, they are the ones that even tell the people that you are trying to say, oh, you want to say that, see, there are some people operating here, I think these same person of people, when probably the police come and say, see, some it is this particular person that gave us information about you and things like that. And at the end of the day, security has become, a commodity that goes to the highest bidder. It is the person that has a greater money that eventually gets justice from Nigerian police.
Well, we look forward to a good job by the current IGP. We pray for God's strength and God's speed in turning
that time he said he would roar like a lion, or you feel like a tiger ready to devour, all these, miscreants and things like that. We only hope that he has not become a cat now. No, so
he'll rise to the occasion. We'll just strengthen him with prayers and cooperation.
Unfortunately, it's all these prayers. See, the reality
we will cooperate with him
also. The police need to do more in actually getting the trust of the citizens for them to be able to really work with them.
They will.
Because at the end of the day, it's a case of once bitten, twice shy.
Right.
See, they really need to do a lot of advocacy and a lot of community policing. And you need to do that when you are able to get the trust of the citizens. See, it is when we get that we'll probably truly get it. But a situation where you give report and eventually become a victim of the reports that you submitted to the police is something they really need to check.
This presidential yacht, so I've read numerous reports about it. Some say it's not for the presidency, it's for the naval force. Where exactly are we with that? And then the 2.1 trillion naira supplementary budget that has been passed by the National Assembly. What's going on?
For me, I'm not too comfortable with the fact that now this is the second supplementary budget.
Okay.
President Buhari sent a supplementary budget before he left, which was passed by the National Assembly. Now here we are with another supplementary budget of 2.1 trillion naira. 2 months down the line, when we are already working, we already have a figure for 2024 budget of 26 trillion naira. And here we are, less than 2 months. We are just passing another supplementary budget of 2.1 trillion naira at a time where the government is telling Nigerian citizens to tighten their belts. And what do we have? That the president is renovating the presidential villa. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. You're telling us that with the billions Buhari spent in renovating that same place for Tinubu to step in, it's not enough. You now have to budget another about 4 billion naira thereabouts to renovating the presidential villa, another 4 billion to renovate the presidential lodge or whatsoever in Lagos, another something around that billion naira for the vice president's quarters, another around that same amount of money to be spent again to renovate the vice president's quarters in Lagos. The 1.5 billion naira to purchase vehicles for the first lady, an office that is not recognized by the constitution. Now, how many vehicles do we actually want to get for 1.5 billion for the first lady? For goodness sake, at a time you are telling us that we should tighten our belt, at a time that we have lost our waistline. In fact, there is no more, we don't even have any holes to put in our belt anymore. At that time is when you now also came up with the idea that we would have a presidential yacht of 5 billion naira. Now the question is, they said it's not for the president.
Yeah.
So that it's for the Navy.
Yeah.
Now tell me, what does the Navy do with a yacht? A yacht is a luxury boat. It's not a naval boat, so to say. It's not a gunship. You called it a yacht. It's for luxury. At least we have Air Force One. Is that not?
Yeah.
NAF 1 for the president. Is that not so? Now we have about 10 jets in the presidential fleet for the presidency. Now, presidency, I'm not saying probably just the president, for the presidency. And that is not enough. So we also now need, so please tell me, is the president going on vacation on these high seas?
No, he might need to get to places urgently, and it might be a safer route to take the seas.
So which president in the world operates a presidential yacht?
We don't have to follow the
No, see, because that's what we always try to claim, that it's standard practice all over the world. Now this same thing, now the supporters, the Emilocons of the president, have come out to defend it, that it's not new. In fact, it's actually in the budget of the Nigerian Navy. That in fact it was first budget of such came actually under Goodluck Jonathan, but then it was rejected. Now you're talking about under Goodluck Jonathan that we had the oil boom. It was rejected then. Is it now, when we are talking about economic hardship, when we are saying that we don't even have enough revenue to meet more families, have been thrown into poverty? Is it now that it is wise for us to now actually purchase such? Even if you have such, must the president accept such requests?
But the presidency has denied
that.
they didn't request for a yacht. There's no yacht that the president needs. That's the deal.
So what happens? It's the Navy that requested it, right?
Yes.
So does he have to approve it? But he then sent the supplementary operation to the National Assembly.
But they've at least rejected it, and they said they've diverted the funds
to
the
student
loan.
The student loan that doesn't even have a direction yet. Now, not
that will
one.
kick off in 2024. So they
in 2024, when the students have already resumed, and the university authorities have made it, a point of duty that without the payment, you can't even get accommodation into schools. We are talking about schools that don't have even enough accommodation to even reach up to 50% of the student population. Now, you're saying that it is that loan so that student will now come in 2024, when probably some students would have dropped out, or when some probably would have actually gone to, borrow money, or some would have done hookups, like one of those students was saying that how many hookups would I have to do? So when probably they would have done a lot of hookups so that they can pay school fees in today's Nigeria, in a middle class Nigeria. Is that what we are saying? No, that's not. See, let us face it. And mind you, Senator Ali Ndume said, let us deceive ourselves. That yacht is already sealed and delivered.
I heard that grapevine, and
No, if it's coming from a senator, they approved it. See, they know probably it's a case of, we are only trying to pass this retroactively.
It's already, we've
already bought it and things like, if that is what, these guys know more than we do, except if you come out to actually fault what Senator Ali Ndume has said. Now, minus that is the fact that, what we are even saying is it not insensitive in the first instance? Let's assume that the Navy brought up the proposal, and it is the Navy that is requesting it. How many gunships do we have? NNS, what are we going to call this one? Then, in the same way, even if they brought such requests, is it not enough for the president to say that, let me show leadership by example? If I'm telling Nigerians to actually tighten their belt. No, this one is more of a luxury than a gunship. So we cannot afford this at this particular point in time. How do you expect Nigerians to receive this? So let us reject this for now. When probably we have actually stabilized the economy and we have enough revenue, we can actually consider this kind of a request. Now, if that is the way, a lot of people would have actually even appreciated the president more, that is actually showing, leadership, and he's showing example to us. The same way we were begging the members of the National Assembly, and they insisted that, how dare you stop us from getting 160 million naira, Jeep, SUV. And you had a senator saying that, we need it because the roads are bad. So look at how irresponsible you can have a senator of the Federal Republic say that because the roads are bad, so it is Jeep. So now you are saying that is what you need to go to your constituency. In that your constituency where you probably need to ride that Jeep, do we not have Nigerians there who have cars?
Who need to move around?
Who need to move around as well?
For economic empowerment.
Now, mind you, the roads are bad. You did not even say that, okay, instead of you allocating this money for us to actually buy these vehicles, can we actually use that 160 million? Come and actually, replace or refurbish some roads in my own constituency, so that at least let me show my people that money, instead of me buying a Jeep, because I understand your plight and you sent me to represent you and I'm representing your interests, that money, instead of buying Jeep for me, please use it to actually rehabilitate my road. Do you think the people in that constituency will not appreciate that senator better? That is what we are saying, that leadership, you need to show the people that you are not alone, we are all in this together. But it's not a case that you are telling us, when the government says that there is no money, it means that there is no money to spend for the citizen, not for the political elite.
They will take care of themselves first and then think about you. Let's talk about Wike Fubara feud. There's a lot that is being said. There's a lot flying around, and conclusively, is a father and son drama. What do you see to this?
Well, I was surprised that this came in very early.
Okay.
Now, I knew quite well it would come.
Okay.
But I never expected that it would come this early. Then, I think within this fold too, that is a lot of misinformation going on. Because as much as possible, we actually don't know a lot of things that probably happened, and a lot of, so to say, agreements that existed between Wike and Sim Fubara. And I'm saying this in light of the fact that for every political godfather, there is always a price to pay for political patronage. Because if you were to look at it, it's not as if Sim Fubara was the only choice that could probably have succeeded, in some Wike. But the reality is, there must have been something. This, if you remember, if we can actually cast our minds back to that time, just because Wike wanted Sim Fubara, he did not allow any other person in the PDP to obtain the form. Even one member of the House that dared Wike to actually obtain the form, what eventually became of the person, he was arrested under flimsy excuses by River State Police that he probably had some firearms and things that, just came up with some frivolous thing.
So the Fubara that enjoyed that
enjoys that right, that during even the campaigns, who did the campaign? It was Wike now. It was Wike that did campaign.
So it was handed to him on the platform.
It's a serious, of course. See, but you know quite well that would always be a price to pay. So, and I think that, so what now happened between the father and son is what we actually don't know. But I love the fact that, initially it was grandstanding. And he took some actions and even went overboard. Part of going overboard for him was actually daring to suspend a state's chief judge. I think he overreached himself because that's actually beyond him. We are talking about arms of government that are independent.
So I think
the same governor went to the State House of Assembly to disrupt their proceedings. You led thugs to disrupt proceedings of another arm of government. You went ahead and suspended, a state chief judge. And eventually all this he later denied that he did not suspend any chief judge. We learned that he actually sacked his chief of staff and his CSO because these were appointees of Wike. Because they said Wike. In fact, the commissioner for finance, like we were told, the commissioner for works, we were told, all served under Wike. So it was more like a case of, it is Wike that owns the structure, and that is Wike's grounds, that he owns the structure. So nobody should come and try to collapse the structure while he is still alive. So that is his own grounds, that he owns the PDP structure in Rivers State, and it was that structure that delivered Sim Fubara. Now, at what price we don't know. There are so many insinuations going around that he's saying a particular percentage, but that did not come from Fubara himself. Remember. Now, those were things that people were saying. And Wike did not also speak about that.
He neither denied, nor he didn't try to refute. He didn't confirm.
No. He feels like so many people can say. He says, he says like social media. You can do whatever you like on social media. No, that's all. It's not. For him, it's not about social media thing, and I don't think it makes any sense for them to actually use social media to actually drag themselves. So it's more of the fact that, and I love the fact that they have allowed maturity, play to some extent, and sincerely. I thought Wike would have made the greatest mistake of his life if probably had just come out to also attack the governor the same way the governor came out for him, gun blazing. But, he played the bigger role, a more mature role by just keeping quiet. And eventually the president had to wade in because there were security implications of that fight. Imagine that you set the House of Assembly on fire just because you want to prevent any impeachment move. Ordinarily, impeachment move is something that could be challenged. A House of Assembly cannot just go ahead and say you want to impeach a governor without, number one, coming up with allegations.
Isn't that the same reason why he suspended the chief judge?
And so that
prevent him
from probably going ahead with it. No, see, the truth is, you should have even waited for us to even see the grounds upon which the House would claim that you want to impeach a governor 5 months in the saddle. Is that logical? Does that not show that? And that was why, you see, a lot of River citizens were actually behind their governor. Despite the fact that he also overreached himself. But they felt that, no, we cannot have a third term. That this is Wike's third term. And that's what Wike is trying to do. And it even got to a point when they now said Wike was trying to use the Speaker of the House to say that the Speaker of the House would be appointed, the current Deputy Governor would resign. The Speaker of the House will now be, elevated to the level of the Deputy Governor. And it is at that point that this matter will be resolved. It's all claims because Wike did not come out to say that. He only said that if the House feels the governor has done or has committed impeachable offense, it is within the right of the House to go ahead to do whatsoever. It is an independent body, and you cannot fault Wike on that basis. But the thing is that this is coming too early. So you mean the honeymoon is just over? No. It's rather surprising. But then I think Wike should watch it. This is not the end of it, because the Fibara that I saw, the man looks like a weakling.
So I think he tested the waters to know to
what extent. This and that. And coincidentally, he got the citizens of Rivers behind him. Because everybody, Wike had stepped on so many toes. Now, Wike is trying to actually collapse the structure of the APC and PDP into one in Rivers State. That's what is happening. Wike is a PDP man serving in an APC administration. The APC structure in Rivers State is owned by Rotimi Amaechi. The PDP structure is owned by Wike. But now, Wike is in Abuja. He's not home. So, people are saying, you cannot be in Abuja and be teleguiding what is happening in Rivers State. You pick one. Let the governor be the PDP leader in Rivers State and let him control affairs. Now, unfortunately, the case would now be that, would we say Wike is still a PDP man or a Rivers man? So, the people that are in PDP have their grounds against Wike. Especially those people that Wike prevented from contesting against Fubara in the primaries. So those ones are against Wike. So they feel like this is an opportunity for the governor to help them deal with Wike. So that at the end of the day, they now come back, to deal with him. And for people in APC too, they don't want Wike in APC. Because it will be like coming to hijack their own structure. So it's a case of that serves Wike right. So they were also behind the governor in trying to deal with Wike. Enemies are now aligned in order to deal with a common enemy. So that's what is happening. So, but unfortunately, I think Wike has been able to wiggle his way around this whole matter, because the president had to actually intervene. So that at least let us prevent bloodshed and further crisis.
Right. As we prepare to head out of the studio, let's quickly touch base with Joe Ajero, your best friend in this climb.
Oh.
Right.
Joe Ajero.
Yeah, so there's a nationwide strike. They are planning for the 8th of November. Also, the last I heard, they're trying to fly him out to get him medical attention. They claim he's in critical condition following the assault. What would you like to say about Joe Ajero?
For one, I would say that it's an irresponsible thing if eventually it is the Nigerian police in Imo State that's responsible for what happened to Joe Ajero.
Right.
Because the police claimed that they only took him into protective custody.
I heard that report.
Because that was more like a kind of mob action.
I heard that report.
Now, what happened is this. In Imo State, NLC has been factionalized.
Okay.
Because the governor has his own loyalists who are controlling NLC in Imo State. Then I think there is also another faction that is now loyal to Joe Ajero, so to say. Because Joe Ajero is claiming that Imo State people are against they have issues against their governor. And they were claiming that they have not paid their salaries, and the governor came out to say that let one civil servant in Imo State that is on the payroll of the state government come out to say that he or she is being owed a dime in salary. And since Governor Hope Uzodinma came out with that challenge, we've not had anybody come out to say that the governor is actually owing them. So then I was wondering where they claim that the governor is not paying salary, where that came from. Because I'm trying to imagine, will it not be suicidal if you have a governor that is preparing for re-election and will now probably fail to pay the salary of a civil servant? Well, except who would vote him? Yeah. Well, except, probably I think the only state that I know probably that happened. I know there are actually PDP states. I know it's happening in Abia. It's also happening in Benue. But then, not to actually, deviate. But the reality is, the governor now made an allegation against Joe Ajero that Joe Ajero is actually playing politics with Labour.
Yes. And as you've said in the past.
As it played out in the past.
Yes, indeed.
It's not just me saying it.
Yes.
That was what played out.
Yes.
Now, that he is not able to differentiate between the Labour front and the Labour Party. That's a challenge for Joe Ajaero, and he has got himself in a fix. Now, Joe Ajaero is actually from Imo State.
Okay.
And I think, based on the allegation, that he actually wants to also, maintain, at least a political ground in Imo State. He never can tell. Probably he's preparing the grounds when you finish as Labour leader so that he can actually move into just like Adams and Shoma they did. We don't know. Yeah. But then, I don't think that is enough for him to now say, because he claimed that he went to Imo State to lead a protest. Okay. And they said, protest at this particular point when the state is actually preparing for election. Does not make any sense. It's actually being insensitive to the security implications of that. And also the political undertone that will be read to such, a rally or a protest or whatsoever. Now, as much as that is actually within the democratic right of the, state, the civil servant, and what have you, I think that Joe Ajaero also did not, play that game well. But even if that was the case, I don't think any Nigerian whatsoever should have been manhandled the way he was manhandled.
I mean,
black. He was assaulted. No, that was pure assault. Yeah. See, that is no way we can actually, sugarcoat it or try to, paint it, whitewash it. No. But then, who is culpable? Now, the police is claiming that it was actually some mobs, that they only went in there to actually save him. But now, the Labour leaders are claiming that it's actually that it was actually it was in their custody that was what happened. So they are laying claim to the fact that it was the Nigerian police in conjunction. Now that was where they now brought it in conjunction with the Imo State government, that they were the ones responsible for what happened to Joe Ajaero. Now, if that now happened and he's actually undergoing treatment, now another thing that comes in, the idea of having to fly him abroad, I find that very despicable. It means that is actually an indictment on the whole health sector in Nigeria. Then again, so where then do we now get this moral right to now criticize probably any of our politicians that when they have any little thing, the next thing is they think of traveling abroad for medical treatment? You claim that they are engaging medical tourism, but why can't they fix the health sector? Are you saying that there is no medical facility in Nigeria that could actually treat Joe Ajaero here in Nigeria? No. I don't think that is right. Because the question I would ask is, it will be at whose expense? His personal expense, or the expense of the Nigerian Labour Congress? Because my money is there.
NLC is the one pushing to fly him abroad.
No, my money is there.
Okay.
Because, yes, my union pays its due to the Nigerian Labour Congress.
Okay.
So invariably my money is there.
True.
So the question would have been, who approved of such? That's the way. See, the same way, if we will be engaging in this impunity, I don't think we have any moral justification to criticize the political elites when they do worse than that.
I really wish we could take one more story. Looks like we're out of time, right? Okay, let me just squeeze in one more story. I think the program director for the next program will allow this. It's really about the future of transportation, Ogun State and Lagos State, and that's how we'll close it off. So CNG mass transit buses has been launched in Ogun State. Okay. Lagos State has signed a $1.3 billion Fourth Mainland Bridge and Blue Rail partnership agreement with KAZEEM.
Well, this is more like probably the third time I've had the Lagos State government signing one financial deal as far as the Fourth Mainland Bridge is concerned. Remember that this Fourth Mainland Bridge was actually used by the current president for his second term, ambition as the governor of Lagos State. That project did not see the light of the day. It was passed on to Fashola. It did not see the light of the day. In fact, they signed an agreement with the amount of money, the stretch of the road and things like that. But, the political tsunami that swept him out of office was what probably prevented. Ordinarily, I believe that project would actually be realized by now. Now we are talking about a project probably in the next only God knows how many years that will be. But then, now that it has been signed, well, does it cost that amount or does it worth that amount of money? That's another argument entirely. Now, will it be something that eventually would happen in my lifetime? I pray so. Because I know that, look at what it took us to have that short distance between Mile 2 and Marina. How many years? Almost 16 years. Now, we're also having something similar now. because that is an extension from Mile 2 now to Okokomaiko. It's also part of this almost $1.4 billion contract. Now, if it sees the light of day, I think it would go a long way in easing the traffic congestion in Lagos. A fourth mainland bridge that will pass through Lekki up to Ikorodu, that will also link up to the the expressway, probably the Lagos Ibadan expressway or something. It would actually evacuate a lot of vehicular traffic on the major roads in Lagos. But by and large, I also think that the Lagos State government really needs to do a lot. I traveled through the Lekki stretch on Wednesday and Thursday. I went through till now. I'm still feeling pains. And now imagine what the people that live along that corridor, what they go through on a daily basis. Right. Seriously, Lagos State government, you guys, you really need to do something. That road is terrible. It is terrible. Unfortunately, look at what they did. The nonsense that has happened at VGC roundabout. That is despicable. Governor Sanwo-Olu, that is despicable. Please, do something urgently. You are killing people. I won't say more than that. You are killing people if that thing remains the way it is. Now for the CNG buses, well, Ogun State has launched its own, and that's at least something positive coming from Ogun State. To a large extent, I would say a lot of people have been disappointed with the performance of Governor Abiodun. But if for this one, well, kudos to him. I will hope that Lagos State can even do better, because we have more people in Lagos and we need more of such in Lagos. Yes. At least probably by the time we have that can actually help drive down, the price of, the cost of transportation in the state. But I think it's part of, the so-called palliatives that we are supposed to get with the removal of fuel subsidy. But unfortunately, what is going on in Lagos, I can't say. What is going on in many parts of Nigeria with different states, it remains to be seen. But we know quite well that the other time, some set of people call themselves the private sector, whatever, they promise 100 or 1,000 buses that they are trying to also, as their own palliative and things that support to the policy of the government. Let us pursue this vigorously, because we know quite well that the Chief of Staff, on behalf of the President, launched some 2 or 3 buses for staff in the presidential villa that would also run on CNG. We need to see more of this. By the time we have more of these CNG centers, probably it will be easier and cheaper for people to convert their vehicles from petrol to CNG. By the time we're able to see that, and I think the environment will also be better for it, because that will be it is more environmentally friendly than probably petrol or diesel. So it's something that we really need probably to give kudos, at least if it is coming from the political elites. That probably shows that God is actually intervening on our behalf, because really a lot of things that they've done has never been in the interest of the citizens.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. OLUBUNMI. And I think we will close off with a prayer for Palestine. They are our brothers and sisters in humanity, and we owe them that support. The least we can do, we do not have the arms to take. We are not able to sit with Netanyahu and their cohorts to broker a peace discussion, but we can put them in our prayers, right?
We would also call, because I saw during the week, probably just yesterday, we were told by the United States that Anthony Blinken is also there to still discuss with the Israeli Prime Minister. But the man is hell-bent. He's hell-bent because he knows quite well that all that the U.S. is doing is just face-saving. So you cannot give someone weapon, go and kill them, and you're now saying, can you give them a consideration so that at least you can save many lives? Doesn't make any sense. So you can bet, they call that shuttle diplomacy, but that's not shuttle diplomacy. It's more like a confirmation, say, go ahead. You're actually killing these people and you're doing a good job, so please go ahead. That is what the U.S. is doing, and that's what Israel is doing. And the Prime Minister has said that there will be no temporary ceasefire until all hostages are released. No, you cannot just, you see, when we talk about negotiation.
What beats me is how you are bombing the place where the supposed hostages are. So by bombing up the place, you're saving the hostages?
No, that tells you that, see, let me tell you. The host, a lot of the so-called 1,400 or 1,400 victims of the so-called Hamas attack on Israel, majority of these people were actually killed by the IDF themselves. So, it was a report, even Haaretz newspaper and so many other news reports in Israel confirmed the fact that even Yasmin Porat, one of the hostages that Hamas released, said that many of the people that were killed died from our own forces. Because what they are trying to do, they want to actually prevent a situation where anybody will actually be held hostage. So that will not be taken into Gaza. So the question is, kill everybody that you can see. So that at the end of the day, you minimize the number of hostages. So many of those people were actually killed by the IDF themselves. So but at the end of the day, you are blaming it on Hamas. And you're using that as a pretext. See, let me tell you. A lot of people have said that this operation was a false flag. Just to provide a basis upon which Israel will pound Gaza, clear off the whole of that place, annex it, and push Palestinians into the Sinai Peninsula.
Yes,
that's the idea. So they can as much
there's actually a document flying around to that effect. They have had that.
Yes, now no, it's a plan.
In
black and yes, now that what they want to do is actually move the Palestinians, evacuate them into the Sinai Peninsula. It's just so imaginable, or it's unimaginable that we would have such barbarism in this 21st century, and the so-called police of the world is actually the one actually giving Israel, the killer weapons to actually kill fellow human beings in the name of fighting, against them. You are killing your victims, the victims of your oppression, and unfortunately, you, the killer, you are calling those your victims terrorists. It just so baffles how illogical and how hypocritical, the world can be. But what do we know? It's the world powers. Might is right. So that's what we are saying today. But like you said, our hearts goes, are with the Palestinians. And let me tell you, this has nothing to do with religion. It's about humanity. And for you to know that it's about humanity, see, the Latin American, countries have actually severe ties with Israel. Talk about Colombia, talk about Brazil, talk about Chile, talk about Cuba, talk about Argentina. These are, majority Christian countries. In fact, many of them are actually Catholic. But then they are telling you that this is inhumane. So for them to actually condemn that in strong terms and even withdraw, their diplomatic missions away from Israel, that speaks volume. This has nothing to do with religion, but this is about humanity. And for the fact that they are also looking at it, it's just like, imagine what the native Indians experienced in America. Imagine what the Aborigines experienced in the land of Britain, in Australia. So you can have an idea of the ethnic cleansing that's actually going on in Palestine, all for the robbery of their land. So, but then someone can always come and claim that, yes, my forefather of 2,000, 3,000 years ago lived on this land. So that gives me the right to actually kill every other person that is on this land.
Thank you, Dr.
It is well.
Indeed. Thank you so much. We'll see you same time next week with another beautiful package of the news reviews. Bye for now. We'll see you next week, inshallah.
Bye. Yeah.